again, my name is Sarah and welcome back to Everyday Consent. An important part of living a consensual lifestyle is internalizing the concept that your own happiness and well-being are your own responsibility and no one else's. You do deserve respect, you do deserve attention, and you do deserve pleasure. But nobody else owes those things to you. You can and often should ask for others for help in trying to achieve your own happiness and fulfillment, but you do not get to demand it of them. And if they do refuse, it is your responsibility to accept this and find other means of fulfillment. That's a big concept, but I'll demonstrate by describing something which has helped me think about this, something I like to call the gatekeeper myth. When I'm interested in somebody, especially if they've shown interest in me too, my imagination tends to run pretty wild. I think we've all done this to a degree. You start thinking about all the fun things you could do together. Sexual, non-sexual, what have you. Like maybe going to a fancy restaurant together, or on a roller coaster. Maybe having sex outside under the stars, or trying out a new sex toy together. This is one of the best parts of a new interest. There's so much room for possibility and creativity. It's just a very bubbly, excited, and positive place to be. And for me, this is part of why rejection can hit so hard. Because suddenly this great wide world of possibility has been shut down. And I didn't even get to make a detailed proposal of all my plans. There were diagrams and everything. And the answer's already no. Party pooper. Basically, the issue here is that I'm seeing this other person as the gatekeeper to my sexuality. My sexuality is a great, fun place that I want to visit and explore and cultivate. So having someone block the entrance and say, nope, not today, feels a little, upsetting. I find this mindset very easy to fall into when faced with rejection, but there are a couple of problems with thinking this way. One, of course, is the fact that this is an entirely self-centered view of what's going on, and doesn't take into account the other person's humanity or autonomy at all. And two, the big trick here is that they're not the gatekeeper to my sexuality, not at all. They're just the person that I asked to explore my sexuality with me, who didn't feel like it. And that's disappointing, because it would have been fun to have them along, but now I know that's not an option. And that's fine, because I don't actually need them to go with me. So instead of lamenting the loss of something I never had, I just need to make different plans. Maybe I'll see if somebody else wants to go with me, or maybe I'll go on my own. The idea here is that when we face rejection or some other obstacle to us having a sexual or romantic experience that we wanted to have, it's time to figure out what it is we wanted from those experiences, what we feel we're missing by not having them, and think about some possible alternatives for meeting some of those needs and desires. Maybe we wanted attention, care, emotional intimacy, physical affection, sexual release, bodily expression, new experiences, to feel loved, to feel wanted, a physical challenge, physical relief, comfort. All of these, and plenty more, are possible needs or desires that we might be trying to use sex to fulfill. Which is totally valid. Sex can fulfill a lot of needs. But if sex is not an option, then we should look for something else to help us fulfill our needs. Side note, this is everyday consent. If they've said no, then sex is not an option. Now, I'm not going to claim that you'll be able to find a substitute for everything, or that the substitutes you do find will be perfect. And I'm also not claiming that we can completely avoid ever feeling disappointment. We can't, and we probably shouldn't. Some moments are just gonna suck. But what we can do is fill in some of those gaps by being aware of ourselves and taking responsibility for our own self-care. The previous list breaks down into three main categories: emotional needs, physical needs, and sexual needs. Let's go through some self-care choices in each of these areas. To address emotional needs, like attention, comfort, affection, feeling loved, etc., we can reach out to a close friend or family member. Maybe call up your mom, or talk with a friend about what's going on in your life, or just spend some time with someone you're close to. You may do this anyway, but just make a point to set aside some time for it soon. For physical needs, like physical connection or affection, bodily expression, or just general physical stimulation, there are lots of options. For affection, you could again reach out to a friend to ask for a hug or to cuddle while watching a movie. You could get a massage if you can afford one. You could cuddle or play with any pets if you have them, or volunteer at a local shelter if you don't. A lot of shelters will sometimes ask for volunteers specifically to just play with the animals. Seriously. It's great. Some other great options to satisfy a craving for physical connection and interaction are things like dance and contact sports like football or martial arts. Social dance in particular might be a good choice because it focuses a lot on communicating with other people's bodies and also has a verbal and emotional aspect. So it might satisfy quite a few of these needs. So take a dance class, find some friends on a football, or look up your local martial arts studio. For sexual needs, there are also some great options. In general, just doing something that makes you feel sexy is good, like buying or dressing up in some sexy clothing, maybe taking a hot bubble bath and listening to some music, or watching or reading porn. And of course, the greatest way to address sexual needs on your own is to masturbate. Masturbating is a really great option for a lot of reasons. There are lots of health benefits like reduced stress and increased blood flow. It's a great way to help you learn about your body and how you like to be touched, and a safe, audience-free way to try out new things. And it's one of the most direct ways to help you feel in control of and in touch with your own sexuality and your own body. Remember, you are your own gatekeeper. For this week's assignment, think about the last time you wanted to have sex with someone. Maybe this is a current interest. Describe a couple of the things you wanted out of that experience. And then list a couple alternatives to how you could meet some or all of those desires outside of sex. Happy consenting, folks! See you next week. I don't know what role I'm playing, Jesse. I don't know who I am. Basically, the issue here is that I am saying my words in this broken format. And now, the big trick here is that the gatekeeper. Sex.